Good morning, my name is Vicky Sime and I'm a reader at Holy Trinity. Today I will be reflecting on Luke chapter 10 verses 38 to the end. I will begin by reading it. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, and indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." In our reading today, we meet two sisters, Martha and Mary. They're very different women with different priorities. Martha is often criticized for not doing the right thing in this passage. Being a Martha has almost become a label for someone who is too busy to take time to listen to Jesus. But I think it's only fair to look at the context of this story before we think too harshly of Martha. In Jesus' time and the Jewish culture, hospitality was hugely important. If someone was coming to tea, you made a real effort, and it was the women that prepared the food and made sure that their home was welcoming. Martha had invited Jesus into her home, and whether she understood at this point or not that he was the Messiah, we don't know, but she clearly knew that Jesus wasn't just your usual guest. This meant that there was much to be done, and to make things just right, she had to do lots of things. And to be honest, Martha was doing what was expected of her, busying herself with preparations. Mary, on the other hand, was rebelling against convention. She was captivated by Jesus, and rather than help Martha, she sat at Jesus' feet, listening to every word he said. Sitting at Jesus' feet is symbolic of being a disciple, and as we learn more about Mary in further appearances in the Bible, she appears to understand exactly who Jesus is, his power, his majesty, and his destiny. Jesus is pleased that Mary is attentively listening to his teaching, but Martha is actually really quite cross with her. And Martha is not only asking for help, but she's demanding that Mary keep the traditional way of behaving by asking Jesus to intervene. Rather than chastising Mary, Jesus tells Martha that she doesn't have to worry about anything, that the thing that really matters right now is what Mary is doing, sitting and listening to Jesus. Jesus, as an honoured guest, releases both Mary and Martha from their chores, so they can focus on him and his teaching. I guess they must have had tea eventually. Later on in the Bible, when Lazarus dies, it is Martha who is first to rush out to greet Jesus. And at this point, she clearly does know who he is, because she says to him, "Lord, if you'd been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus replies, "Your brother will rise again." At this point, Jesus declares that he is the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in him will live even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in him will never die. Martha responds to Jesus' declaration that he's the resurrection and the life by saying that she believes that he is the Messiah. She knows exactly who he is and what he's capable of. Martha's priorities have changed. Her first reaction now, when Lazarus becomes ill, is to call for Jesus. And yes, I think she probably is quite cross here that Jesus didn't turn up before Lazarus died. But she knows that Jesus has got this. She trusts him. Jesus has the solution, and in this case, it is to raise Lazarus from the dead. This is a very rare thing for Jesus to do, but it's purposeful and leads to many believing in him. But it also leads to the Pharisees and the chief priests to want Jesus dead. But that, as they say, is another part of the story. So what does the Mary and Martha story mean to us today? Well, we can look at their situation and apply it to ours. We're living in a scary time with war, bonkers inflation, political problems, all sorts of things going on. And I don't know about you, but I feel pretty desperate to do something about this, to act. And yes, there is a time for action, but we need to pray. We need to turn to Jesus for guidance and allow him to show us what we need to do. When Jesus is at the heart of the solution to a problem, then our actions are way more powerful and effective. Mary chose to spend time with Jesus to learn and understand, so that when she went back to her work, and she would do that, she would be filled with God's power. There is no need to criticize the Marthas of this world, and I would say I am one. Just encourage them to seek God's counsel so that their work is God-focused. We don't choose Martha or Mary, we choose Jesus, who brings contemplation and action together to his glory. So today, I pray that whatever you're doing, you will first turn to Jesus and pray for his guidance and his presence, so that your actions are in line with his will. I hope you have a blessed day. See you soon.